Welcome to this special presentation on Times Network. We have a very special guest with us. I have with me the Finance Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Buggana Rajendranath. Sir, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations. The summit is about to start, Andhra Global Investors Summit. Obviously, you are all set. It looks like a very promising summit, and it is happening after such a long gap. What can we expect from the summit?
It's been quite encouraging. The response that we have received soon after announcement of the summit and its dates. We have done a few road shows within India, the cities of the curtain raiser in Delhi, and then Bangalore, Chennai, then Mumbai, Hyderabad. The response is very encouraging. It's been quite some time, few years, and we've had COVID in between, and we also see so many states doing summits in the recent times. In spite of that, a lot of business houses and industrialists and people who also are sort of participating in various activities outside of actual real business also have been interacting with our government and concerned departments. We're quite pleased with what all has happened till now.
Right. Sir, like you rightly mentioned, so many states are actually doing summits, and I think what is critical is the conversion of MoUs into on-ground activity, on-ground setting up of plans, creation of jobs and all. Now, how are you going to achieve that? Because that is very crucial for any state to actually have a successful implementation.
So we have observed or rather studied some summits that have happened in the past few years. That is 2015 onwards in our erstwhile government in Andhra Pradesh. And then we also are studying the summits that are taking place in other states too. So we find that there is a lot of focus on the MoUs. Which our government and our Chief Minister have thought otherwise. Let us not concentrate on the MoUs, let us not focus on the MoUs, but let us actually focus more on what investment that actually is going to be grounded, likely to be grounded. So we have decided not to be in that MoU race. You observe summits that have taken place in, I wouldn't want to comment about other states, but in the state of Andhra Pradesh in the past, to the period 2014-19, they've had 3. MoUs signed were to the tune of about 18 lakh crores.
Correct.
But what actually were realized or are being realized is about 1.8 lakh crores, 10%. 3 put together. So we have taken a realistic target of anything above 1.8 to be realized in this particular summit. So 3 summits put together, and not the MoUs, the actual investment that will be realized to be not the MoU here, to be the realization amount here.
Understood.
So again, that 1.8 is not the MoU here. It is going to be the realization that we plan for this particular summit.
Right. Also, what I have observed is, with all the challenges and the kind of competition that states have with each other, Andhra has continued to maintain its lead in terms of its consistent GDP growth. How are you managing that?
See, Andhra, the consumption normally is quite good in Andhra. It's a consuming state. And then we have some natural advantages too, in the form of agro and agro-related industry, in the form of aqua-related produce, in the form of livestock. So the agriculture sector, normally the higher GDPs are contributed more by the services and then the manufacturing industry. Very difficult to actually suddenly increase the agriculture sector output. So post reorganization of the state, whether we like it or not, we have become primarily a more agrarian based state. So during the COVID, when 2 years when the manufacturing sectors and the service sectors were really hit hard, the agro was not hit that hard. So that helped Andhra to actually maintain its growth. That is the reason that last year the advance estimates show Andhra as being amongst the, or you can say the highest, fastest growing state. So this primarily can be attributed to the agriculture sector, which is very sound and robust here in Andhra.
And I'm sure because it reflects in the policy also, but consciously trying to also focus on other sectors apart from agriculture, because one is in ease of doing business rankings, the state has been topping consistently. Even if you look at the industrial parks or the strategic businesses or industries which are developing in Andhra, maybe going forward that ratio would change, where agriculture will still continue to drive growth, but other sectors will also kick in. So what is your outlook on that?
So at the time of reorganization of the state, 2014, the past many decades, various governments and the government's policies were to concentrate most of industrial development and especially the IT services in Hyderabad city. So when we lost Hyderabad to Telangana, so bulk of manufacturing industry and bulk of IT services, I think IT exports to the tune of about 95% were actually with Hyderabad. So we were left with barely 5%. So almost nil. And post reorganization now, it has become incumbent upon us to actually take up, or rather restart, re-establish this entire sector now. So this particular, our government and our Chief Minister has decided that Vizag is an excellent place in the present state of Andhra Pradesh to actually make IT industry be established, IT related services to be established, anything to do with fintech to be established, because this requires good connectivity, good telecommunications network, good air connectivity, and more importantly, cosmopolitan nature about the city. So Vizag has all of this and more. And the social life that is very much required for this particular sector to actually thrive is available in Vizag. Therefore, we are now concentrating on Vizag to be the next city to cater to this particular industry. When it comes to manufacturing, we definitely have a plan, and a very concrete plan, in the form of the port and port-led development. Now, Andhra has a long coastline, and not only long coastline, we have number of ports which are functioning, number of ports which are being constructed, number of harbors, fishing harbors, etc., which are also being constructed. So now you look at it, Andhra ports serve the hinterland of southern Chhattisgarh, Telangana, eastern Karnataka are actually served by Andhra ports. So the ports in Tamil Nadu are sort of busy, and we have 3 big ports in Tamil Nadu, one being Madras, one Ennore, and one Thoothukudi far south. So the Madras ports are sort of very busy right now. Right now, not right now, they're busy because of they've been here. So here in Andhra, now we have this entire development of the port and port-led infrastructure, along with the corridors, the industrial corridors. So we have 3 industrial corridors in the state which no other state can actually boast of. So we have the Vizag Chennai, we have the Bangalore Chennai, and we have the Hyderabad Bangalore. So all of these are connected, very well connected, both by rail and by road, by national highways to the ports. So we see manufacturing industry developing on these corridors based on the port-led advantage, that is naturally available. So now Andhra becomes the entry-exit to all the ASEAN countries.
Correct.
So this becomes a big advantage, and any industry that actually has to import to export, and manufacturing industry mostly is about this. So Andhra definitely has a huge advantage, because all the ports that we have and the ports that we are developing have very good draft. So it is not that now there are some states with a long coastline, but you don't have that many big ports. Now Maharashtra has a fairly big coastline, but then they have only two big ports, Navsheva and the other JNP. Yeah. This is an advantage which we see will actually help in industrializing our state.
Correct. So also what I have observed, I've been visiting the state for quite some time. How are you going to fix the infrastructure in terms of its expansion? Because to consistently support growth, and especially if you're aspiring to be a gateway to, let's say, ASEAN countries, it needs to have that kind of robust air and land infrastructure, especially air infrastructure in terms of airports expansion and all. Are you expecting some major investments during the summit and otherwise in these sectors?
Yeah. Now, Bhogapuram Airport, International Airport, already has been grounded. So this will be one big airport. And then we already have number of airports in the state. We have Rajahmundry, then we have Vijayawada, we have Kadapa, we have Tirupati, we have Kurnool now, state-owned airport. So I think we have a good amount of airports which very few other states can actually boast of. And this definitely will help various sectors in the future. For example, electronics and electronic items and the transport of such goods, transport of horticulture products. Of late, most of the horticulture products and floriculture products are also being transported by air because of the less shelf life. Then shrimp, for example, shrimp and shrimp related things, fish. So this definitely will help. And with regard to the rail, we already have a pretty good rail network in the state because of the coastal rail facility that is there. And we're also coordinating with the Government of India's plan and policy for port and port-led development in the form of Sagarmala. So the state highways, state roads that are connecting the national highways. It's like you have the national highways connecting the railway connecting the ports, and then we also are linking up the state highways and redoing bridges, etc., and repairs of work roads, state roads, so that it actually works as arterial roads connecting all of these. So our plan for road and road development is and strengthening and augmentation of the state highways is based mostly on what the Government of India is planning to do on the Sagarmala.
Right. Coming back to Vizag, and like you rightly mentioned, it's maybe ideally located for IT and ITES services development. So somewhere in the future, you are mentally prepared to compete with the existing hubs of IT services, be it Bangalore or Hyderabad?
Yes, surely, because see, Andhra, the workforce,
Silicon Valley,
the Andhra workforce now, bulk of the people who are of the Telugu speaking, I would say Telugu speaking people, bulk of them who are working are from this region. So because of the vast number of engineering colleges that we have had, and also because of the focus that generally people from Andhra Pradesh have put on education and technical education over the past many decades, have, I think, helped the Telugu people, and bulk of them being from this area, to participate and work in the IT and IT related areas. For example, you go to the west coast of America, you go to the Bay Area, you can see a small Andhra Pradesh over there. You go to Bangalore, you see a bulk of them, Hyderabad, bulk of them from here. So the workforce itself is a big advantage, huge advantage. So normally the workforce, when you have your workers, your employees hailing from the same place, your attrition is going to be very low.
Correct.
So that will be a big advantage. Now, let us say a person from Karnataka or a person from Andhra living in Vizag, living and working in Hyderabad. So what is his expenditure on house and other activities going to be? It's going to be huge. Whereas you are from Vizag, you have your own workplace in Vizag, or for that matter Vijayawada, or for that matter Tirupati. So automatically what happens is your cost of living goes down, you stay with your family, so your attrition is going to be very low. And either way, the workforce mostly is from here. So this will be a big advantage. In fact, we lost out on this golden opportunity in 2014 to 19. The erstwhile government should have promoted Vizag. So this IT and IT related area of business, social life and infrastructure for a good social life is very important. That is the reason that Bangalore has actually grown. That is the reason that Hyderabad has grown. So this, I think, is naturally available in Vizag. See, Vizag is a city which has an inherent cosmopolitan nature in it. So you don't have anybody from just Vizag for centuries. All the people who have settled here have settled over a period of time. So you have the Eastern Naval Command, so you have people from all over the country. You have the RINL, Rashtriya Ispat Nigam steel plant, you have people from all over the country. You have the Hindustan shipyard, you have people from all over the country. So the nature of Vizag is cosmo. So it is not that every city can become cosmopolitan. Now you go to till now in India, Delhi is one that has a cosmopolitan nature in it. Mumbai is one that has a cosmopolitan nature in it. Bangalore is one which has a cosmopolitan nature in it. Hyderabad is one. The rest of the cities or capital cities are not as cosmo as the four I mentioned. Now Vizag will be one of such nature. You also have some advantages in the form of the beach, the hills, very few places where you have the beach and the hills and hill station and beach in a distance of 30-40 kilometers. I don't think very many places have this sort of thing. So all this put together, I think, is just fit for Vizag to take off. And we missed out on the opportunity 2014 to 19 because soon after reorganization of the state, a bulk of people working in Hyderabad, for many reasons, wanted to just have their offices and shift back. For various reasons, be it emotional or be it practical or otherwise. That particular period 2014 to 19 was missed out by Andhra, but we hope to regain that. We actually wanted to start that in 19, but then COVID came in the way. But we definitely hope that Vizag is going to once again take our state onto the international map on the IT. Yeah.
I'm actually wanting to understand because what is happening is one is, post-COVID, there is this whole thought process of China plus one as a policy, and India obviously is a front runner in that. Every other state that we speak to is trying to pitch themselves for the global manufacturing hub in some way, So that thought process is very clear that you make for India and make for the world also. Obviously, there is a positive sort of a competition between all the states. Now, how do you maintain edge in this kind of competitive scenario where every state is trying to pitch themselves to the global investor community?
See, this definitely requires logistics to be an important part of the manufacturing. So every landlocked state will be at a disadvantage. Every state with a coastline will be at an automatic advantage. So number two, in states with a coastline, the ones that have good ports and ports that can actually keep on expanding. So it is not like we have one or two ports and that is the end. No, we have multiple. The location of Andhra coastline is such that the geographical nature is such that we have multiple ports and multiple ports with good draft where they can actually scale up. So this is one big advantage that we have. Because any manufacturing industry you want to have. Now, for example, a steel plant. Gone are the days when steel plants were to be located close to the mines. Between the iron ore mine and the port, now plants want to be located at the port, not adjacent to the iron ore mine. So that is the paradigm shift that we have seen in manufacturing industry, which automatically Andhra will be at an advantage. The second big advantage is we are not focusing on all the businesses that are possible in the world. We have actually brought it down to certain sectors where we have a natural advantage. So the states which are coming forward, you have two ways of going about it. One is a natural advantage, one is you try to bring in people and incentivize, etc., etc. So incentives are such things where every state has some incentives to offer. Some people do it a little more, some people do it a little less, some people on taxes, some people on power, some people on labor, etc. So we are more onto, we also have our incentive policy, but we are more onto natural advantage. For example, agribusiness is a natural advantage. We are number one in many things, many produce. Then between 1 and 5 in everything, in rice, in pulses, in horticulture, in milk, in meat, In eggs, we are in that 1 to 5 in the country. So this is an area of our strength. So we want to encourage industry. Now, for example, I'll give you a case of in Chennai during the road show. We had one big masala manufacturing businessman who was interested. So he said, 60% of my chili comes from Guntur, so I want to have my facility over there. So this is something that's a natural advantage. So we are focusing on that. Similarly on eggs, similarly on meat, similarly on milk, similarly on rice. So all these are all areas where there is a global and not only just first, we take about 60% of the share of the entire country. So this is one area. Then comes automobile. So automobile again, you have an entirely automobile related and advantageous ecosystem in our southern part of Andhra Pradesh in the form of Kia and in the form of our Sri City, etc., where we have close proximity to Chennai, to Bangalore, to Hyderabad. It is almost like outskirts of Bangalore is Andhra, outskirts of Chennai is Andhra. So this again becomes a natural advantage where you already have an ecosystem and there is much more space for more. Now there are cases when there is an ecosystem but you don't have the land or the space. We have a huge land bank too. So in the sense, post reorganization of the state, we have identified and earmarked large chunks of land, close to about 150,000 acres, out of which 50,000 is in the form of industrial estates that are developed or being developed all along the corridors, which are linked again to the ports and highways, etc. This again is a natural advantage. So we are looking at areas where you have an advantage in the form of logistics, in the form of workforce, in the form of raw material, in the form of market. So these are all the natural advantages which will not or may not be available to all the states. It is we have to tap it.
It almost sounds like the incentivization is being done keeping in mind the employment potential. That sounds very encouraging. Sir, thank you so much for joining us and wish you all the best for the summit. Thank you, sir.